Right, let's bite the bullet. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and this is not a easy video for me to make, nor is it one that I want to make, but I don't feel that I have any choice but to make this. So, to put this in very plain and simple English so that you understand exactly what is going on from the very get-go, I have decided that I am going to stop making YouTube videos. And I was tossing up between doing this in a post to just do it in a short and sweet way and just have it over and done with nice and quickly, but I figured that you deserved the right to hear in my own words exactly why and exactly how. So yes, I have decided that as of I don't actually know when I'm going to put this video out precisely, but as of what I think is the first weekend in February, I have decided that that is going to be the last couple of videos that go out on the channel, and I am not going to make any more. So to give you a little bit of full disclosure, this is a thing that I've been thinking about doing for several months now, and I've been tossing and turning about whether or not I should do it, and to that end, in fact, I have already made a video much like this back at the beginning of January, but there were two reasons that I decided to make a different one. One was because after making it and watching it back again, I felt like I hadn't fully committed to the decision yet, and I tried to push on for a couple more weeks, and unfortunately I did not succeed in reigniting my drive, so I now feel a bit more certain in the decision, so I suppose that's one thing, small benefit. The other thing is that it was very much made at the wrong moment when I was feeling extremely down about the whole situation, so it was quite miserable, quite frankly, and a bit depressing just to listen to, and goodness knows I wasn't in a great mood when I was listening to it in the first place, so, you know, it can't have been great if it managed to push me down even further. So, yes, I decided to make another one. I'm going to try and explain my thoughts and my plans a little bit more clearly this time, and a little bit more matter-of-fact, rather than essentially saying that everything's awful and I'm miserable. Essentially, I'm going to try and avoid doing that and be a little bit more constructive in the way that I communicate this. So, yes, I have decided that I'm going to stop making videos. I'm going to explain exactly whether that's permanent or not in a minute, even though I haven't fully decided that yet, but never mind. So much for waiting a minute, couldn't even wait 10 seconds. No, I think what's the best thing to start with is to explain why. And why simply is that I have found that I no longer enjoy it. I no longer get a kick out of doing this in the way that I used to. So when I first started the channel back in May and June of 2020, which is nearly 4 years ago, and it's a shame we didn't quite push it to 4 years, but never mind. Making videos was very entertaining for me, and it was something that I very much enjoyed doing. It provided a degree of structure and regularity in my life, in that there was a regular schedule of videos that I produced. Obviously at the very beginning we were doing a video every day, and then sometime later in the channel's lifetime we transitioned to the current schedule, where we did 4 videos a week. And at the time, having that regularity and that structure in my life was very nice. I very much enjoyed it. It forced me to come back to doing it and to continually make more stuff and try to improve upon every video each time around. And I just generally very enjoyed it. It was a very fun thing to do. It was a very relaxing thing to do. And it was also nice because I felt I could be my completely honest self with it, as it were. I didn't have to put on any airs. I could just be completely natural and just say whatever I thought and do whatever I thought, and then if people liked it, they could stick around and watch it, and if people didn't like it, they didn't have to watch it, and nobody was forced to consume any of it. And that was quite nice, because throughout much of my life I felt as if I've had to go through with a kind of putting on certain airs for the sake of other people, or generally having to not be my completely honest self with people, you know, whether that's like humor-wise or personality-wise or whatever. But on YouTube I felt as if I could do that completely, and there was no reason not to do that anymore. Versus now, I feel as if I don't have the same energy and drive, and I don't get the pleasure out of doing this that I once did, and as a result of that, I don't enjoy it. And I feel as if when I do then force myself to make videos for the sake of meeting the quota, I then feel I have to put on airs, and I have to essentially pretend that I am enjoying it, and pretend that I am enthused to do it, when in reality I'm not anymore. And I feel as if that's beginning to come across in videos. I think that's coming across in how I become frustrated more easily, and I can't play the games as well, and I don't stick at the games as well either, which is why we've had a fair few very short-lived things that if I'd done a year ago perhaps would have been much more lasting, like me giving up on Shadows Over Loathing, me giving up on Concluse 2, the fact that I'm now going to have to give up on The Evil Within 2 as well, which is a shame, but I feel like it's better to stop than to continue to make subpar videos, because to my mind that's a waste of everyone's time. I'm wasting my own time by doing something I don't enjoy, and I'm wasting your time by producing videos that are not the quality that you deserve, because to my mind, if you've taken the time to choose to watch something that I've produced, then I owe you at the very least the respect of making the best possible video that I can, and offering you the best quality entertainment that I am capable of. And at the moment I simply don't feel like I am capable of doing that, which is quite a sad thing. And I have noticed as I go through editing videos over the last couple of months, I do feel as if the quality has significantly decreased, in that I don't come across in the same way that I used to, because the passion and the enjoyment and the love of it that I once had simply isn't there anymore. So, with that said, how can I try to explain why that's happened? I can't fully explain it through the medium that I explained it the first time I attempted to do this video, but I think that is a significant part of it, so I will explain that as a partial explanation and then try to come up with something further for you. So, as I mentioned in a post some months ago, back at the beginning of November I began full-time employment. And naturally, you know, the 9 to 5 takes a lot of the time out of the day. Add to that commuting an hour either way in the morning and the evening, and, you know, the first opportunity I get to do anything is when I walk back through the door at 6 PM, and at that point I am knackered, and all I want to do is lie on the sofa under a blanket and just not do anything, frankly, because I'm tired. Which doesn't leave me in a great situation for making videos, because it is often a little difficult for me to record at the weekend for usually one of two reasons. One, in that either there are other things I need to be doing that I normally would have done during the week when I was either at university or between August and November when I had finished my degree but not yet began employment. Yeah, so during the weekend, of course, you know, there's stuff I need to do, there's chores that need doing, and so forth and such like. And obviously at the weekend, of course, it can sometimes be more difficult to make videos, because there's a garage on the far side of the wall here, and on the weekend, if there's stuff going on, then there's noise being produced in there, then, you know, of course that's only 6 feet away from where the microphone is, and of course that makes a lot of noise, which of course disrupts the videos quite badly. So it's a little difficult for me to find time to do the videos, and even when I do have time, when I come home one evening and I don't feel particularly tired, or I have a weekend opportunity to record when it's nice and quiet, I don't feel an enthusiasm to do it, and sometimes I actually dread doing it, and I really don't like that. I'm very sad that that has happened, because there was a time when I really looked forward to making videos. It was the high point of a day. I would go to class at university, and I would then come back, and I would want to record, because it would be a great opportunity to just relax and do something fun, and just be myself and have a bit of fun with something. And seemingly it just doesn't feel that way anymore, which is very sad and very unfortunate, but I don't know how to bring that back, so I feel it's best to stop. So yeah, obviously my work is taking up a lot of time, and it's taking up a lot of my energy, but it is also the case that even before that happened, I felt as if the quality was slipping. As I mentioned, there was that period between August and November when I wasn't studying or working, and while that was a great opportunity to make videos in the sense that I had plenty of time to do it, that certainly wasn't a restriction on me anymore. I still felt, as I was going through the videos that I was producing, that they weren't as entertaining as they once were. I can't quite put my finger on what it is, but perhaps it's the things I say or the way that I play the games. There's just some sort of spark that just isn't there anymore, and I'm not as pleased or as proud of the videos as I once was, because my general rule of thumb for producing a video and then deciding whether or not it's worthy of being uploaded is thinking, does this merit the time that somebody has decided to commit to watching it, right? Because goodness knows I don't make short videos, right? As popular as the shorts are, they're something that I simply can never and will never adopt. And, you know, sometimes I make videos that are hours long, for crying out loud, and if someone's going to commit more than the amount of time to watch a film, right, a film that's taken a year to produce and has had tens of millions of dollars spent on its production, you know, if you're going to put the same commitment into watching one of my videos as you could put into watching a big budget film, then to my mind it's very important that I make that video be as good as possible and be worthy of your time. And more so over the last several months, I felt that the videos I produce don't merit your time, that they're not as entertaining and they're not as enjoyable as the videos that I once produced were. And I can't really explain why that is. I don't know what it is, whether I've just lost some sort of spark or exactly what's gone wrong, but something clearly has gone wrong, because I am convinced that videos are just not what they once were. Perhaps it's the fact that I'm at the moment feeling less enthused about it all, and that's kind of colouring my viewpoint and making me see things in a more critical light than before. Perhaps that's the case, perhaps that isn't the case. I wish I could give you some more stronger and definite answers, and I wish I could give myself stronger and definite answers, because if I could do that, then I might be able to address problems and then begin to repair them. But at the moment I simply don't know how to do that, and beyond these sort of creative or artistic problems, however you wish to describe them, although frankly I think describing my videos with either of those words would be generous, you know, there have always been technical problems with the channel that plague videos, and I wish I could mend, but I simply don't have the technical expertise in order to address them. So, for example, there's very often frame rate issues, which probably bear down to the... Excuse me a moment, the cat wishes to come in. I'll be back in a moment. Come on. Thank you. Oh, dear. What was I talking about? I was talking about frame rates, wasn't I? Oh, gosh. Yes. Yes, it's never a good thing when the frame rate dies in the video, and I hate that, because it never dies in the game, right? It always dies in the recording, presumably because oh, you want to come and sit in my lap now, do you? Come on then. Oh, at least we can end this together, if nothing else. I don't pussycat. Yeah, presumably the computer sees the multiple processes going on in the sense of playing the game and making the video, and it prioritizes the game over the video, which I kind of hate, because the video matters far more to me than the game does. But yeah, perhaps if I had a more powerful computer, then that would be something that I could address. However, I don't really have the technical expertise to construct a more powerful computer, which is a bit of a bummer. But never mind. Beyond that, what other technical issues have we had? The audio corruption. Thank you, Bib. I don't mean the audio corruption that comes from you reversing your arse into the microphone, as adorable as that is. Be glad you can only hear it and you can't smell it. Yes, audio corruption. That infernal popping noise that plagues so many videos, including the last episode of The Evil Within. I wish I could tell you what the source of that is. I genuinely have no idea, because I am... Well, I feel convinced that it's to do with the speakers, because when I was at university, I didn't have the speakers plugged in, right? Because, obviously, student accommodation, you're packed in like sardines and living on top of one another. Goodness, I'm grateful I don't have to go through that again. But of course I still had to make videos, and I didn't want to disturb people, so in order to minimise the amount of disturbance I was causing, of course, there was no way I could disguise the sound of my voice. Would you please stop bumping into the microphone? I'm trying to talk about audio corruption and you're not making it easy. But I figured what I could do to minimise the amount of noise would be to use an earphone, right, instead of using speakers. That way, at least they wouldn't be able to hear the sound of the game, and I'd minimise the amount of disruption I was causing to other people. Which, of course, is not something that I've ever done when I've been recording here. I've never used headphones or earphones at all. And why don't you just go and have a sleep on the bed? Why don't you do that instead? I've always played it through the speakers, which of course has caused a slight echoing sound, whereby the sound from the speakers is very, very, very slightly delayed compared to the sound that you're hearing from the direct capture of the desktop, which does cause a slight echoing issue, which normally isn't noticeable, but sometimes it is, and sometimes it sounds absolutely abhorrent, but never mind. But yeah, I can't stand wearing earphones or headphones. Having things in my ears is extremely uncomfortable for me, and I think it looks a bit too gamer, right? And as a bloke that plays video games, or played video games for the attempt to amuse people on the internet, I suppose it would be silly of me to try and not describe myself as a gamer. But I don't know. There's just something about that image, right, of headphones and the gaming chair, and it's like gaming chairs are a rip-off, right? They cost 3 times as much, and they don't hold your ass any better than a regular chair does, right? This is a office chair, right? This is designed for people in offices to sit on, right? It's perfectly comfortable, it does the job perfectly well, and it cost about 80 quid, compared to a gaming chair, which would have been a silly bright colour, would have looked like something dragged out of a rally car, would have not held my ass up any more effectively than this does, and it would have cost 300 quid. Seriously, what's up with gaming chairs? I don't understand it, but never mind, we're not here to have a rant about consumerism, we're here to have a rant about the fact that I can't make videos anymore. Oh my goodness. Back to the point, Phil. Off on the tangents again. Yeah, so when I was at university, I didn't have the speakers plugged in, and in 0 videos made at university, there was audio corruption. None of them, right? Or at the very least, absolutely none that I ever noticed. So my initial thought process was, well, it must be the speakers then, right? It must be the speakers that are causing this, because if that's the only thing we've changed, everything else in terms of the setup was the same. That must be the cause of the problem, right? Like ceteris paribus, that must be the cause of the problem. But seemingly I was never able to use that knowledge in order to solve the audio corruption issue, because initially I thought it was a gammy cable, right, connecting the speakers to the screen, right? So I tried replacing the cable, and that didn't work. Then the speakers actually died, right? So initially my first thought was, well, replace the speakers. However, I couldn't find a new ones of these speakers, right? Because they're quite old speakers, I had them a great many years, so they weren't being manufactured anymore. So I couldn't get new ones, and I was hesitant to buy. I'm always hesitant to buy speakers online, because it's very difficult to know whether the sound quality is going to be good, right? And if you just try and judge it off price, then that tends to be quite unreliable, at least in my experience. Anyway, the speakers died, so I replaced them, and that didn't fix it. So we had new cable and new speakers, that didn't fix it. I figured maybe it's the port that it's plugged into the screen, so I thought instead of plugging it into the screen where the game is, I'll try plugging it into the screen where the OBS is, right? Secondary screen. Maybe it's like there's some damage to the port in the screen somehow. Tried that didn't work. I thought maybe it's the fact that it's not going directly into the computer, it's going into the computer via the screen. Maybe that's the problem, so try plugging it into the computer. Well, no, that didn't work either, because it was plugged into the computer when we recorded the last episode of The Evil Within 2, and that didn't work either. Hello, Bib. So every attempt that I have made to solve this issue has failed, and try as I may to research online and find anybody else who has this same issue and any advice that they might have, I have not succeeded. I have been able to find no evidence of anybody else ever having this issue, so it just seems to be something that's plaguing me. So that really frustrates me, because at the moment it's taking a lot of time and effort for me to make a video at all, and then I'm either making that video and I don't feel like the quality is very good, in which case it shouldn't be uploaded, but it's consumed so much time and effort I don't have any time or effort left to make another video to replace it, or I make the video, and it is good, or good enough anyway, and then it gets ruined by the audio corruption, right? And that is like the straw that breaks the camel's back for me, because it then takes a video which in all other cases will be good, but for some reason I can't identify and can't cure. The video is then spoiled, right? You know, like the Serena Expedition, right? Lovely game, and you know, not a pathetic performance by me for once, so that was a nice video, but ruined by audio corruption, right? And there was one video, I forget exactly what it was called, it was made by that Max Horror person, and it was something to do with mole men, I think. Some vague memory of moles being in it. So that video had an awful lot of audio corruption. That video was the worst corrupted video I've actually ever had, in the sense that the corruption carried on happening all throughout the video, and goodness knows it'll probably happen in this one as well. So what I tried to do with that, because the audio corruption was in fact so loud you couldn't even hear me, what I tried to do with that one was actually mute the sections of the video where the audio corruption was occurring, and then make like a script of what I was saying at the time, and then re-record that, right, doing a facsimile of the commentary in Audacity, and then overlaying that across the muted section, so that it took away the audio corruption, but it brought back, at least to some degree, the commentary. Now, the two problems with that is that A, that was incredibly time consuming. For the sake of that half-an-hour video, it took me, I can't even remember, probably about 3 hours, I think, to actually put that together. Oh look, the frame rate's died again, whoopty frickin' doodle. Yeah, so it's incredibly time consuming to do that, and the problem, of course, with doing that is because I'm muting it and I'm bringing back the commentary, I can't bring back the audio of the game, right, without actually going back into the game, playing that section again, and then recording that bit again, which would make it even more time consuming. And that's the reason why I didn't do this attempted fix in the Serena expedition, because there's, of course, voice acting in it, and if I muted those sections, then you wouldn't be able to hear the voice acting there, and I didn't have the time to go back and replay the game and record those bits again, because that would have just consumed too much time, and I barely have enough time to record videos as it is, so trying to go and record them twice for the sake of getting rid of the audio corruption that will inevitably plague them is just demanding more than I can provide at the moment, which is unfortunate. So all of these technical issues culminate into, when I can find the time and energy to produce videos, a lot of the time they then get damaged, and again I feel like they're not worthy of being put out, which leaves me in a situation of only a very small number of videos me being able to produce where I feel enthused to do them. I feel as if they come out with decent quality and they come out unscathed by audio corruption, which at the moment just isn't feasible, because I simply don't have enough time in the day or the week to produce videos whilst dealing with all of those problems. I just physically can't do that. And that's the reason why I feel as if I have to stop, because if I continue to push myself on and try to force myself to record videos even though I don't enjoy it, in the hope that eventually I will learn to enjoy it again, or that somehow we'll stumble upon some sort of fix for one or two of the issues that we've got, I feel as if I shouldn't do that, because I'll just drive myself into the ground and I'll get to a point where I hate doing this, right? And I don't want that to happen. I would rather this died quietly and peacefully than it continue to live on in some zombified form until I hate doing this any longer. Because this has been a really fun and a really special part of my life. Because another reason that I really enjoyed doing this was that it was a thing that was constant in my life. It wasn't a thing that was always changing. One of the things that has often frustrated me about going through the education system is how you're never really working for today. You're always working for something better tomorrow, right? Like, I could never really enjoy or focus on the here and now when I was at school, because I was trying to get to university. And then when I was at university, I was never really able to focus on the here and now because I was trying to get into my postgraduate studies. And then when I was in my postgraduate studies, I couldn't focus on the here and now because I was trying to get into a job. So throughout that very long period of my life, it's never been about today, it's always been about tomorrow. And making YouTube videos was fun because it wasn't about tomorrow, it was just about making the best possible video today. And you could let tomorrow look after itself, because when tomorrow came around and it was time to make the video for tomorrow, you'd learned a little bit more and you were a little bit more practiced, so tomorrow's video could be a bit better. But you didn't have to plan tomorrow's video today, you could just focus on today. And that was very nice. I don't know where I was going with this, but that was one of the reasons why I really enjoyed that. And perhaps the fact that I'm now working and I am at work more focusing on today rather than always thinking about tomorrow and the next step. Perhaps the fact that I'm not doing that anymore means that I don't have as much need for some sort of something more current, I suppose. And goodness knows, having the structure and a kind of a deadline that I had to meet earlier in my life with making videos was at the time nice, because it gave my life some structure that it had been missing. And of course now at work I have a lot of structure and a lot of deadlines, and again perhaps that's just not something that I need or desire. And then having a hobby in my life, which then imposes more structure and more deadlines, perhaps that's one of the reasons why I don't enjoy it anymore. I hope that that isn't the case, because if that is the case, it means that it's not something that I can solve, because there's no way I can change to an employment where that's not going to be the case, where I don't have structure and deadlines. That just isn't feasible. So yeah. But I think that probably goes, hopefully, some way to explaining why I feel as if I have to stop, and why some of my prior enjoyment for all of this has died away. So, when I say I'm going to stop making videos, do I mean that I'm going to stop permanently? Do I mean that I'm going to take a hiatus? I would like to think that I'll take a break for a couple of months. I will find my enthusiasm for this again. I'll come back with a reignited spirit, and I'll make new videos, and I'll get back into the swing of things. I'll find a way to balance them with my work, and I will enjoy it again, and we can make fun videos, and we can look back on this time and say, I'm glad I took a break, because it made things better in the long run, even if it wasn't easy in the short run. But I don't want to sell you false hope, if indeed there is anybody that would hope that this particular monster wouldn't just lay down in the coffin and die. I would prefer to be very honest with you and say that there is every chance that if this stops, I will not find the motivation to start going again. So I feel like it's only fair of me to explain that, and to make you very cognizant of that fact. But I would like to come back. I would like to fix what's wrong with this, right? If I could get a more powerful computer that was more robust to being overloaded, and if I could, would you stop? Would you just stop French kissing the microphone for 2 seconds? And I could find whatever the source of this audio corruption is and kill it. Then perhaps at that point I could find some more enthusiasm and come back, and that would be lovely. But if these are issues that I can't find solutions for, then, and my enthusiasm doesn't come back, then I may not return, and that's sad. That's not what I want to happen, but as I said before, perhaps it's better that it just die now rather than being drawn out, because if I do continue to do this and I can't find solutions and I continue to lose more and more motivation and drive to do this, then I am just going to learn to hate doing this rather than enjoy it as I once did. So yeah, I wish I could tell you whether this will be a retirement or a hiatus, but I honestly don't know. So I wish I could tell myself, but I can't. So there are a couple of things I would like to say, given that this may be my last opportunity to speak. So I'd like to apologise for the odds and ends that I never finished. I hate leaving loose ends, and unfortunately doing this decision is going to leave quite a handful of them. So I'm sorry that we never finished Concluse 2, I'm sorry that we never finished Shadows Over Loathing, and I'm sorry that we never finished The Evil Within 2. I wish that we could have, but sadly none of that ever happened. I'm now beginning to realise in the back of my brain that Shadows Over Loathing might have actually been an early warning sign of things to come. But never mind any of that, too late for whatever it's called. Hindsight. I was going to say foresight, but that's the wrong way around. Other little odds and ends that I never finished and I wanted to. I'm sorry that I never got to the last Fears to Fathom game, if I could learn to speak properly. Which would be a small miracle, given all the frickin' verbal stumblings these videos have been cursed by. That's another thing I wouldn't mind fixing, but goodness knows I can't do that unless someone tears my tongue out and gives me a fresh one. Yeah, I would have liked to do that, but sadly there just wasn't time. I would have liked to have stuck around long enough to see the completed version of Love and Eternity, for which I think a new demo for that has recently been released, which I would have liked to have played. Would have liked to have stuck around long enough to see the full game as well, because that was one of the most impressive of all the games that I've played. That's one that really sticks in the back of my mind. So would have very much liked to have been able to see that and been able to share in some of that with you, so that would have been nice, but sadly no such thing happened. And of course it would have been nice to finish Manic Miners as well, but if we did the rest of Basmod, that would probably take me goodness knows, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, maybe even longer, and then if we were to do the remaster campaign as well, and that's without even any videos on custom levels, goodness knows we could have been doing that for years, which, you know, would have been a nice thing in the sense that would have been a lovely lovely constant thing to have throughout a longer period of the channel's lifetime, but no, sadly not. That couldn't be finished either, so I apologise for that. I apologise for all the loose ends I'm leaving behind, but I just can't find the energy to do this any longer. And there have been various things that there have been one or two things that I've tried to do in the hope of reigniting this. I just haven't succeeded. An example of that would be playing the New Horizons mod for Pirates of the Caribbean. So, oh, excuse me. This cold weather always gives me a snotty nose. So the Pirates of the Caribbean videos were a lot of fun to do, right? It was like doing Manic Miners for the first time all over again, in the sense of it was me re-exploring a beloved game of my childhood and being able to share in it with you as a handful of people that had also played the game came around watching the videos and gave tips and advice, and we were all able to share in it together, and it was great fun, and I really enjoyed it. It's one of the latter series that I remember the most fondly, and when I began to realise that I was losing my enthusiasm for this, I tried to think of ways to reignite it, and I thought, since there was nothing left to do with Pirates of the Caribbean, of course I couldn't make more videos on that, but I thought perhaps I could, perhaps if I played the New Horizons mod, that would give me an opportunity to do some more videos that perhaps I would enjoy in a game that I really enjoyed, and we could explore the sort of the new fresh things, and again sort of sharing that with you, in that perhaps some of you had either seen that as with the original game and could give tips, or you hadn't seen it and we could explore it together. But that just didn't happen. I just didn't enjoy it, really. It just didn't spark anything within me the way that the older videos did. So I was initially planning on doing a series of that, whether it would be like, you know, seeing everything that the mod had to offer, or whether it was just a case of you know, doing a bit. I don't know, but I was planning on doing a more substantial series on that, but that just it just didn't happen because I just didn't have the enthusiasm for it, which was quite sad, and really made me realise that it just wasn't working any longer. Which, another example of that to compound it was that SCP Secret Files game, which is without a doubt one of the most professional SCP games I've ever seen. And that's what I've been longing and crying out for a hell of a long time, because as I've said before, SCP is a franchise that has this bizarre curse whereby 95% of the games that are made of it are absolutely awful, and SCP has a lot of games made for it, and I tend to play a lot of them because I really like the SCP franchise, and it does sadly get cursed by a lot of rubbish games, and I was really impressed, just on like a technical level and a design level and creatively, to see SCP Secret Files, but then words, form them into sentences to communicate your ideas. It's not rocket science. I'm pretty sure even children have figured out how to do that. So yeah, finding SCP Secret Files was great, because it was like, finally, here's what I've been looking for ages, like a really good, fun, interesting SCP game that we could play. But again, it just didn't do anything for me. I just seem to have totally lost my enthusiasm for this, which is a horrible thing to say, right? It's like realizing you're falling out of love with somebody that you used to adore, and that's a horrible thing to realize. But I find myself faced with the question of, do I maintain this dysfunctional relationship that just doesn't seem to work, or do I try to stop it so that we can both go our separate ways and both find something better? But yeah, I did this second version of this video to replace the one I did in January, because I didn't want to make this too miserable. I wanted this to be a bit more matter of fact. But I feel as if I've fallen into melancholy once again, so I apologise for that. I didn't mean for this to be quite so much of a downer, but I felt it was very important that you get all of the facts and you understand this. So the last little thing that I will say before I head off is to talk about you a little bit, I suppose, really, because I feel as if I don't do that as much as I should, and given this is my very last opportunity, I'd better do it now, otherwise it will go forever unsaid. Because throughout these videos, of course, at least in the pre-upload stage of production, it's very like one way, the communication, in the sense that, you know, I'm talking about me and I'm talking about the game, but seldom do I get much of an opportunity to talk to you or talk about you more directly until we get to, excuse me, shouldn't have had my breakfast before this. That was a bit silly, wasn't it? Until we get to the point after the videos have been uploaded, and of course then we can communicate through the comments. It would have been nice to do live streams, for example, where we could have communicated a bit more directly. I would have enjoyed that, but my internet connection simply has never been good enough for that, and so that never really became a feasible option. Not to mention, furthermore, that the audience has always been, at least from what little I can gather, it seems to have been a very international one, which is a wonderful thing, and a thing that I'm very grateful for, but it does make scheduling live streams a pain in the neck. So, even if we did have the bandwidth to do that, perhaps it never would have quite worked anyway, but never mind. Yes, I would like to just talk about you for a minute, and essentially what I would like to say is thank you. I know that I say it at the end of each video, but I feel as if, you know, eventually that becomes becomes predictable, it becomes obvious. So I feel as if it would be better to speak a little bit more candidly, a little bit more honestly, for you just this once. So I would like to thank you very much, all of you, however long you've been here, whether you've just arrived or whether you've been here for all of the 3.5 years, or you've come anywhere in the middle. I would like to thank you for the attention that you have given. I would like to thank you for all of the comments, all of the feedback, all the encouragement, all the suggestions, all of the help. Help with playing games, help with making videos, help with advice, help with setting up the emulator for the PS1 Rock Raiders, help with, you know, everything really. Channels on YouTube are built on their audiences, as much as other people with other channels might tell you different. Every channel on YouTube is built from its audience and built out of its audience, because without you, we're a bunch of raving maniacs talking to cameras in our rooms, rather than entertainers or educators or journalists or any of the other many things that a person can be on this website. So yes, we're all built on our audiences, and I'm very grateful for the audience that that developed around this. You've given me far more than you realise. Only makes sense in the very last video I ever make. I pressed the wrong buttons. Always doing that, aren't I? Yeah, you've given me much more than perhaps you realise. You've given me a sense of companionship, a sense of worth, essentially, which has been very wonderful and very gratifying, and has been very nice. Really, I don't really know how to say that. It's just been very, very nice to have you there, to have you watching, to have you listening, to have you interacting, and to do my little bit in my attempt to amuse you. It's been very nice, and for that reason it's very sad that it has to end, but I feel like it's not... Either I continue making videos and you continue watching them and they're rubbish and I waste your time, or I continue making videos and they're rubbish and then you stop watching them, in which case it would have been better for me not to waste your time in the first place by making you watch them become rubbish and just let you go in the first place. So I hope that that you'll all go off to find whatever it was that you found here. I hope that you'll find it somewhere else in a higher quality, less corrupted, better articulated manner than what I have attempted to do. So I wish you all the best with that. I'm very grateful for everything that you've given me in the years that we've been here. Doing these videos has been extremely enjoyable and extremely gratifying, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to do that. So yes, I'm just I just wanted to say thank you. But I suppose that's about it, really. I think I've explained what's going to happen. I think I've done my best to attempt to explain why, and I've apologised for the loose ends that we didn't tie up, and I have thanked you as best I can for what you have given me. So I suppose that's about all there is to say. So for the last time, I will say thank you very much for joining me for as much or as little as you have been here. I will ask you very kindly to look after each other, and I will say goodbye.